Chapter 25. The Book on Food. Chapter 1. What has been related about what the prophet sauce ate upon. Narrated Yunus from Qatada that Anas said, "The messenger of Allah never ate on a table nor on small plates, not did he eat thin bread." He, Yunus, said, "I asked Qatada, so what did he eat on?" He said, "On these leather dining sheets." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Gharib." Muhammad bin Bashar said, "This Yunus is Yunus al-Iskaf." And Abdul Warid bin Sayed reported similarly from Sayed bin Abi Aruba, from Qatada, from Anas, from the Prophet. Great Sahih. Chapter 2. What has been related about eating rabbit. Narrated Hisham B. Said, I heard Anas saying, "Once we provoked a rabbit at Mar as-Saran. So the companions of the Messenger of Allah rushed after it, and I caught up to it and captured it. I brought it to Abu Talha, who slaughtered it with Marwa. He sent me with its legs, or its thighs, to the Prophet, so he could eat it. He, Hisham, said, I said, he ate it. He said, he accepted it." Abu Isa said, "There are narrations on this topic from Jubair, Ammar, Muhammad bin Safwan, and they say Muhammad bin Saifi. This hadith is Hassan Sahih. This is acted upon according to the people of knowledge. They saw no harm in eating rabbit. Some of the people of knowledge disliked eating rabbit. They said that it menstruates." Great Sahih. Chapter 3. What has been related about eating mastigur. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet was asked about eating a mastigur, and he said, "I do not eat it, and I do not prohibit eating it." He said, "There are narrations on this topic from Umar, Abu Sa'id, Ibn Abbas, Thabit bin Wadiya, Jabir, and Abdur Rahman bin Hassana." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Sahih. The people of knowledge have differed over eating mastigur. Some of the people of knowledge among the companions of the Prophet and others permitted it, while others considered it disliked. It has been related that Ibn Abbas said mastigur was eaten on the dining spread of the Messenger of Allah, and the Messenger of Allah only avoided it because it was distasteful to him." Great Sahih. Chapter 4. What has been related about eating badger. Narrated Ibn Abi Ammar. I asked Jabir, "Is badger kind of game animal?" He said, "Yes." He said, I said, "Should I eat it?" He said, "Yes." He said, I said, "Did the Messenger of Allah say that?" He said, "Yes." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Sahih. Some of the people of knowledge follow this. They did not see any harm eating badger. This is the view of Ahmad and Ishaq. A hadith has been related from the Prophet indicating disapproval of eating badger, but its chain is not strong. Some of the people of knowledge disliked eating badger. This is the view of Ibn al-Mubarak. Yahya bin al-Qattan said, Jarir bin Hassam reported this hadith from Abdullah bin Ubaid. bin Umair from Ibn Abi Amar, from Jabir from Umar, as he's saying, and the narration of Ibn Jurayj, a narrator in the chain of this hadith, is more correct. And Ibn Abi Amar is Abdur Rahman bin Abdullah bin Abi Amar al-Makki, great Sahih. Narrated Kusayma bin Jas. I asked the Messenger of Allah about eating badger. He said, "Does anyone eat badger?" So I asked him about eating wolf. He said, "Does anyone who has any good in him eat wolf?" Abu Isa said, "The chain for this hadith is not strong. We do not know of it except as a narration of Ismail bin Muslim from Abdul Karim Abi Umayyah. Some of the people of hadith have criticized Ismail and Abdul Karim Abi Umayyah, and he is Abdul Karim bin Qais, who is Ibn Abi al-Mukharik, while Abdul Karim bin Malik al-Jasari is trustworthy. Great Da'if. Chapter 5. What has been related about eating horse meat? Narrated Jabir. The Messenger of Allah allowed us to eat horse meat, and he forbade us from eating donkey meat. He said, "There is something on this from Asma bin Abi Bakr." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih." This is how it was reported by more than one narrator. From Amr bin Dinar, from Jabir, Hamad bin Said reported it from Amr bin Dinar, from Muhammad bin Ali from Jabir. The narration of Ibn Uyayna, number 1793, is more correct. He said, "I heard Muhammad saying, Sufyan bin Uyayna is better at memorizing than Hamad bin Said, great Sahih." Chapter 6. What has been related about the meat of domesticated donkey? Narrated Abdullah and Al-Hassan, the sons of Muhammad bin Ali, from their father, that Ali said, "During the time of Khaybar, the Messenger of Allah prohibited mutta with women and eating the meat of domesticated donkeys." Great Sahih. Another chain, and Abdullah bin Muhammad's kunya is Abu Hisham as-Suri, said, "Al-Hassan bin Muhammad was the more acceptable of the two." And he mentioned similarly others besides Sa'id bin Abdur Rahman, narrated from Ibn Uyayna. Abdullah bin Muhammad was the more acceptable of the two. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih." Narrated Abu Huraira. On the day of Khaybar, the Messenger of Allah prohibited every predator possessing canines, and the Mujat Fama, and the domestic donkey. He said, "There are narrations on this topic from Ali, Jabir, Al-Bara, Ibn Abi Awfa, Anas, Al-Irbad bin Sariya, Abu Falaba, Ibn Umar, and Abu Sa'id." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih." Abdul Aziz bin Muhammad and others reported this hadith from Muhammad bin Amr, and they only mentioned one phrase: "The Messenger of Allah prohibited every predator possessing canines." Great Hassan. Chapter 7. What has been related about eating from utensils of the disbelievers? Narrated Abu Falaba al-Kushani. The Messenger of Allah was asked about the pots of Zoroastrians. He said, clean them by washing them and then cooking them. And he prohibited every predator possessing canines. This is a well-known hadith of Abu Falaba, and it has been reported from him through routes other than this, and Abu Falaba's name is Jurfim, and they say Jurhum, and they say Nashib. This hadith has also been mentioned by Abu Kilaba, from Abu Asma al-Rabi, from Abu Falaba, great Sahih. Narrated Abu Falaba al-Kushani that he said, O Messenger of Allah, we live in a land of the people of book, and we cook in their containers and drink in their vessels. The Messenger of Allah said, if you do not find other than them, then rinse them with water. There he said, O Messenger of Allah, we live in a land of game, so what should we do? He said, when you send your trained dog and you mentioned the name of Allah and he kills it, then eat it. And when you shoot it with your bow and it is killed, then eat it. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih, great Sahih. Chapter 8. What has been related about the mouse that dies in cooking fat. Narrated Ibn Abbas. From Maimuna that a mouse fell in some cooking fat and died. So the Prophet was asked about that, and he said, remove it, the mouse, and what was around it, and then eat it, the fat. He said, there are something on this topic from Abu Huraira. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. This hadith has been related from As-Suri, from Ubaydullah, from Ibn Abbas, saying, the Prophet has asked, and they did not mention Maimuna in it. The narration of Ibn Abbas from Maimuna is more correct. Ma'mar reported similar from As-Suri, from Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, from Abu Huraira, from the Prophet, but this hadith is not preserved. He said, I heard Muhammad bin Ismail saying, the hadith of Ma'mar from As-Suri, from Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, from Abu Huraira, from the Prophet, and he mentioned in it that he was asked about it. So he said, when the cooking fat is solid, then remove it, the mouse and what was around it. And when it is liquid, then do not use it. This is a mistake. Ma'mar made a mistake with it, and he said, what is correct is the narration of As-Suri, from Ubaydullah, from Ibn Abbas and Maimuna, great Sahih. Chapter 9. What has been related about the prohibition of eating and drinking with the left hand. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, that the Prophet said, let none of you what with his left hand, nor drink with his left hand. For indeed Shaitan eats with his left hand and drinks with his left hand. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Jabir, Umar bin Abi Salama, Salama bin Al-Aqwa, Anas bin Malik, and Hafsa. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. This is how Malik and Ibn Uyayna reported it from As-Suri, from Abu Bakr bin Ubaydullah, from Ibn Umar. Ma'mar and Ukail reported it from As-Suri, from Salim, from Ibn Umar, and the narration of Malik and Ibn Uyayna is more correct. Great Sahih. Narrated As-Suri, From Salim, from his father, that the Messenger of Allah said, "When one of you eats, then let him eat with his right hand, and let him drink with his right hand, for indeed Shaitan eats with his left hand, and he drinks with his left hand." Great Sahih. Chapter 10. What has been related about licking the fingers after the meal. Narrated Abu Huraira, that Messenger of Allah said, "When one of you eats, then let him lick his fingers, for indeed he does not know in which of them is the blessing." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Jabir, Ka'b bin Malik, and Anas. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Garib. We do not know of it except from this route." As a narration of Suhail, I asked Muhammad about this hadith, so he said, "This is among the diverse narrations of Abdul Aziz. We do not know of it except from his narration." Great Sahih. Chapter 11. What has been related about the fallen Mursal. Narrated Jabir, that the Prophet said, "When one of you eats food and he drops up pieces of it, then let him remove anything suspicious from it and eat it. Do not leave it for Shaitan." He said, there is something about this from Anas. Great Sahih. Narrated Anas, when the Prophet ate, he would lick his 3 fingers, and he said, "If one of you drops a piece of food, then let him remove any dirt from it and eat it, and do not leave it for Shaitan." And he would order us to clean the dish. And he said, "Indeed you do not know in which part of your food is the blessing." Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Garib Sahih. Great Sahih. Narrated Al-Mu'alla bin Rashid, my grandmother Asim narrated to me, and she was the slave woman of Sinan bin Salama. She said, "Nubaysha al-Khair entered upon us while we were eating from a large bowl. He narrated to us that the Messenger of Allah said, whoever eats from a kasa, then licks it, the kasa will seek forgiveness for him." Abu Isa said, this hadith is Garib. We do not know of it except through the narration of Al-Mu'alla bin Rashid and Yazid bin Harun and others among the Aimah reported this hadith from Al-Mu'alla bin Rashid. Great Da'if. Chapter 12. What has been related about it being disliked to eat from the middle of the food. Narrated Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet said, "Indeed the blessing descends to the middle of the food, so eat from its edges, and do not eat from its middle." Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. It is only known through the narration of Ata bin As-Sa'ib. Shuba and At-Fawri reported from Ata bin As-Sa'ib. There is something about this topic from Ibn Umar. Great Hassan. Chapter 13. What has been related about it being disliked to eat garlic and onion. Narrated Jabir, that the Messenger of Allah said, whoever eats from these, the first time he said garlic, then he said garlic, onion and leek, then let him not approach our Majid. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Umar, Abu Ayyub, Abu Huraira, Abu Sayyid, Jabir bin Samura, Kura bin Liyas al-Musani, and Ibn Umar. Great Sahih. Narrated Jabir bin Samura. The Messenger of Allah was staying with Abu Ayyub when he ate some food. He would send what was left to him. So one day he sent him some food, but the Prophet did not eat from it. So Abu Ayyub went to the Prophet and mentioned that to him. The Prophet said it contained garlic. So he said, O Messenger of Allah, is it unlawful? He said, No, I dislike it because of its odor. He said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih, great Sahih. Chapter 14. What has been related about the permission to eat cooked garlic? Narrated Sharik bin Hanbal that Ali said, eating garlic was prohibited except when cooked. Great Da'if. Narrated Sharik bin Hanbal that Ali said, eating garlic is no good except when cooked. Abu Isa said, this chain of this hadith is not strong. It has been reported as a saying of Ali, and it has been reported from Sharik bin Hanbal from the Prophet in Mursal form. Muhammad said, Al-Jara bin Mali, one of the narrators, is truthful, and Al-Jara bin Ad-Dahak is Mukarib, average in hadith. Narrated Ubaydullah bin Abi Burda from his father that Ayyub informed him that the Prophet had stayed with them and they prepared some food for him containing some of these vegetables, but he disliked eating it, so he said to his companions, eat it, for I am not like you are. I fear that I will offend my companion. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih Garib. Ayyub is the wife of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. Great Sahih. Narrated Abu Kalda that Abu al-Aliyah said, garlic is among the good provisions. Abu Kalda's name is Khalid bin Dinar, and he is trustworthy. According to the people of Hadith, he saw Anas bin Malik and heard narrations from him. Abu al-Aliyah's name is Rufai, and he is Ar-Riyahi. Abdur Rahman bin Mahdi said, Abu Kalda was preferable, reliable. Great Da'if. Chapter 15. What has been related about covering the vessels and extinguishing the torches and fires prior to sleeping. Narrated Jabir that the Prophet said, close the door, tie the water skin, turn over the vessel or cover the vessel and extinguish the torch. Indeed, Shaitan does not open what is closed, nor undo what is fastened, nor uncover a vessel, but the small vermin may cause a fire in people's houses. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Ibn Umar, Abu Huraira and Ibn Abbas. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih, and it has been reported through other routes from Jabir. Great Sahih. Narrated Salim from his father that the Messenger of Allah said, do not leave the fire burning in your houses when you sleep. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Great Sahih. Chapter 16. What has been related about it being disliked to take 2 dates at once. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Messenger of Allah prohibited taking 2 dates at a time until seeking permission from one's companion. He said, there is something on this topic from Sa'd the freed slave of Abu Bakr. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih, great Sahih." Chapter 17. What has been related about recommending dates. Narrated Aisha that the Prophet said, "A house without dates, its inhabitants will be hungry." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Salma, the wife of Abu Rafi. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Gharib from this route. We do not know of it to be a narration of Hisham bin Urwa except through this route." He said, "I asked al-Bukhari about this hadith and he said, I do not know of anyone who reported it other than Yahya bin Hassan, great Sahih." Chapter 18. What has been related about praising Allah for the food when one is finished eating from it. Narrated Anas bin Malik that the Prophet said, "Indeed Allah is pleased with the slave who, upon eating his food or drinking his drink, he praises him for it." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Uqba bin Amir, Abu Sa'id, Aisha, Abu Ayyub, and Abu Huraira. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan. More than one narrator has reported it from Zakaria bin Abi Saida similarly, and we do not know of it except through the narration of Zakaria bin Abi Saida, great Sahih." Chapter 19. What has been related about eating with a leper. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. The Messenger of Allah took the hand of a leper and put it in the kasa. Then he said, "Eat in Allah's name, trusting in Allah and relying upon Him." Abu Isa said, "This is a Gharib hadith. We do not know of it except through the report of Yunus bin Muhammad from al-Mufadal bin Fadala, a sheikh from al-Basra. There is another sheikh from al-Basra named al-Mufadal bin Fadala, who is more reliable than this one and more popular." Shuba reported this hadith from Habib bin Shahid from Ibn Burayda that Ibn Umar took the hand of a leper, and the narration of Shuba is more appropriate to me and more correct. Great Da'if. Chapter 20. What has been related about the believer eats with one intestine and the disbeliever eats with 7 intestines. Narrated Ibn Umar that the Prophet said the disbeliever eats with 7 intestines and the believer eats with 1 intestine. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Abu Huraira, Abu Sa'id, Abu Basra al-Ghifari, Abu Musa, Jaja al-Ghifari, Maimuna, and Abdullah bin Amr, great Sahih. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Messenger of Allah had a disbeliever as a guest, so the Messenger of Allah ordered that a sheep be milked so he could drink. Then another was milked so he could drink. Then another, so he drank until he had drank the milk of 7 sheep. Then he awoke the next morning and accepted Islam. The Messenger of Allah ordered that a sheep be milked so he could drink its milk. Then he ordered for another, but he could not finish it. So the Messenger of Allah said, the believer drinks with 1 intestine and disbeliever drinks with 7. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Sahih Hasan Gharib as a narration of Suhail, grade 1819. Chapter 21. What has been related about food for one is sufficient for two. Narrated Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah said, "The food of two is sufficient for three, and the food of three is sufficient for four." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Jabir and Ibn Umar. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Great Sahih. It has been reported from Jabir bin Abdullah and Ibn Umar that the Prophet said, the food of one is sufficient for two, and the food of two is sufficient for four, and the food of four is sufficient for eight. Another chain from Jabir that the Prophet said similarly. Chapter 22. What has been related about eating locust. Narrated Abu Yafur al-Abdi that Abdullah bin Abi Awfa was asked about locust. He said, I participated in 6 military expeditions with the Messenger of Allah sauce, and we ate locust. Abu Isa said, this is how Sufyan bin Uyayna reported this hadith from Abu Yafur. He said, 6 military expeditions, while Sufyan at-Thawri reported this hadith from Abu Yafur, and he said, 7 military expeditions. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Ibn Umar and Jabir. He said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Abu Yafur's name is Waqid. They also call him Waqdan. There is another Abu Yafur whose name is Abdur Rahman bin Ubaid bin Nistas. Great Sahih. Narrated Abu Yafur that Ibn Abi Awfa said, we participated in 7 military expeditions with the Messenger of Allah, and we ate locust. Abu Isa said, Shuba reported this hadith from Abu Yafur from Ibn Awfa and said, we participated in military expeditions with the Messenger of Allah, and we ate locust. This was narrated to us by Muhammad bin Bashar, who said, Muhammad bin Jafar narrated to us from Shuba. Great Sahih. Chapter 23. What has been related about supplicating against locusts. Narrated at-Taimi from Jabir bin Abdullah and Anas bin Malik, who said, when the Messenger of Allah supplicated against locusts, he would say, O Allah, destroy the locusts, kill the large among him, and destroy the small, spoil his core, and cut off his rear. Take their mouths from our livelihood. Take their mouths from our livelihood and our sustenance. Verily, you indeed listen to the supplication. So a man said, O Messenger of Allah, how is it that you supplicate against one of the Allah's armies that he cut off their rear? He said, so the Messenger of Allah said, they are a bit scattered from a fish in the ocean. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Gharib. We do not know of it except from this route, and Musa bin Muhammad bin Ibrahim at-Taimi has been criticized. He narrates many Gharib and Munkar narrations. His father Muhammad bin Ibrahim is trustworthy, and he is from Al-Madinah. Great Da'if. Chapter 24. What has been related about consuming the flesh of the Jalala and milking it. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet prohibited eating the Jalala and milking it. He said, there is something on this topic from Abdullah bin Abbas. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Gharib. At-Fawri reported it from Ibn Abi Naji, from Mujahid, from the Prophet in Mursal form. Great Hassan. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet prohibited the Mujat Fama, the milk of the Jalala, and drinking from the sprout of the water skin. Great Sahih. Another chain from Ibn Abbas. From the Prophet with similar meaning, Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih." There is something about this from Abdullah bin Amr. Chapter 25. What has been related about eating chicken. Narrated Saddam al-Jami. I entered upon Abu Musa while he was eating chicken, and he said, "Sit and eat, for indeed I saw the Messenger of Allah eating it." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan. This hadith has been reported through other routes from Saddam, and we do not know of it except as the narration of Saddam. One of the narrators, Abu al-Awam, is Imran al-Qatan." Great Sahih. Narrated Saddam from Abu Musa, who said, "I saw the Messenger of Allah eating chicken meat." He said, "The hadith has more statements than this, and this hadith is Hasan Sahih." Ayub as-Sakhtiyani also reported this hadith from Al-Qasim at-Tamimi and from Abu Kilaba from Saddam al-Jami. Great Sahih. Chapter 26. What has been related about eating bustard. Narrated Ibrahim bin Umar bin Safina from his grandfather, that he said, "I ate bustard meat with the Messenger of Allah." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Gharib. We do not know of it except from this route." Ibn Abi Fudayk reported from Ibrahim bin Umar bin Safina, and he has been called Buray bin Umar bin Safina. Great Daif. Chapter 27. What has been related about eating roasted meat. Narrated Salama that she brought a side of roasted meat to the Messenger of Allah, so he ate from it. So he ate it from it and stood for Salat and did not perform wudu. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Abdullah bin al-Harith al-Mughira and Abu Rafi. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih Gharib from this route. Great Sahih. Chapter 28. What has been related about it being disliked to eat while reclining. Narrated Abu Juhayda that the Messenger of Allah said, as for me, I do not eat while reclining. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Ali, Abdullah bin Amr and Abdullah bin al-Abbas. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. We do not know of it except as a narration of Ali bin al-Akmar, Zakaria bin Abi Saida, Sufyan bin Sayed and other reported this hadith from Ali bin al-Akmar, and Shuba reported this hadith from Sufyan at-Fawri from Ali bin al-Akmar. Great Sahih. Great Sahih. Chapter 29. What has been related about the Prophet sauce liked sweets and honey. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet liked sweets and honey. This hadith is Hasan Sahih Gharib. Ali bin Mushir reported it from Hisham bin Udwa. And there is more stated in the hadith than this. Great Sahih. Chapter 30. What has been related about increasing the water in the broth. Narrated Al-Kama bin al-Musani. From his father, who said that the Prophet said, "When one of you buys meat, then let him increase its broth. For if he does not find any meat, you'll have broth, and it is one of the two meats." And there are narrations on this topic from Abu Dar. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is gharib. We do not know of it except through this route, as a narration of Muhammad bin Fada, who is Muhammad bin Fada al-Mu'abar, and he has been criticized by Sulaiman bin Harb. Al-Kama bin Abdullah is the brother of Bakr bin Abdullah al-Musani, great Da'if." Narrated Abu Dar, that the Messenger of Allah said, "Let one of you not consider any good to be insignificant. If he has nothing, then let him meet his brother with a smiling face. If you buy some meat or cook something in a pot, then increase its broth and serve some of it to your neighbor." Then increase its broth and serve some of it to your neighbor. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih. Shuba reported it from Abu Imran al-Jamni, great Sahih." Chapter 31. What has been related about the virtue of Farid. Narrated Abu Musa, that the Prophet said, "Many a man achieved perfection, but no woman achieved perfection except for Maryam, the daughter of Imran, and Asya, the wife of Fir'aun. And the superiority of Aisha over other women is like the superiority of Farid over other foods." He said, "There is something on this topic from Aisha and Anas." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih, great Sahih." Chapter 32. That he said, tear the meat. That he said, "Tear the meat with your teeth." Tear the meat with your teeth. Narrated Abdullah bin al-Harith. My father had me married, so he invited people, and Safwan bin Umayyah was among them. So he said, "Indeed the Messenger of Allah said, bite the meat with your teeth, for indeed it is more enjoyable and more wholesome." He said, there are narration on this topic from Aisha and Abu Huraira. Abu Isa said, "We do not know of this hadith except through the narration of Abdul Karim. Some of the people of knowledge have criticized Abdul Karim al-Mu'allim because of his memory. Ayyub as-Sakhtiyani was among them, great Da'if. Chapter 33. What has been related from the Prophet sauce permitting one to cut meat with a knife. Narrated Jafar bin Amr bin Umayyah ad-Damri. From his father, who said that he saw the Prophet making incisions with a knife into a piece of a lamb shoulder, which he ate from. Then he went to perform salat without performing wudu. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih, and there is something on this topic from Al-Mughira bin Shuba, great Sahih. Great Sahih. Chapter 34. What has been related about which meat the Messenger of Allah's sauce used to like most. Narrated Abu Huraira. Some meat was brought to the Prophet, and a foreleg was presented to him, and he used to like it, so he bit from it. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Ibn Masud, Aisha, Abdullah bin Jafar, and Abu Ubaidah. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Abu Hayyan's a narrator in the chain. Name is Yahya bin Sa'id bin Hayyan at-Taimi. Abu Surah bin Amr bin Jarir's name is Harim. Great Sahih. Narrated Aisha. The foreleg was not the part of the meat that the Messenger of Allah liked most, but he would not get meat but occasionally, so it would be hastened to him, because it cooks quickly. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Garib. We do not know of it except from this route. Great Daif. Chapter 35. What has been related about vinegar. Narrated Jabir, that the Prophet said, what an excellent condiment vinegar is. Great Sahih. Narrated Aisha, that the Messenger of Allah said, what an excellent condiment vinegar is. Another chain with similar except that he said, what an excellent condiment, or the most excellent of condiments is vinegar. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih Garib from this route. It is not known as a hadith of Hisham bin Urwa except through the narration of Sulaiman bin Bilal. Great Sahih. Narrated Hani bint Abi Talib. The Messenger of Allah entered upon me and said, do you have anything? I said, no, except a piece of hard bread and vinegar. So he said, bring it, for a house that has vinegar is not impoverished of condiments. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Garib from this route. We do not know of it as a hadith of Hani except through this route. Abu Hamza at Fumalis, a narrator in the chain, name is Thabit bin Abi Safiya, and Hani died some time after. Ali bin Abi Talib. I asked Muhammad about this hadith. He said, I do not know. Ash-Shabi, hearing from Hani. So I said, how is Abu Hamza according to you? He said, Amal bin Hanbal criticized him, but he is Mukarib average in hadith to me. Great Hassan. Narrated Jabir, that the Prophet said, what an excellent condiment vinegar is. There are narrations on this topic from Aisha and Hani, and this is more correct than the narration of Mubarak bin Sayed number 1839. Great Sahih. Chapter 36. What has been related about eating melon with fresh dates. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet would eat melon with fresh dates. He said, there is something about this from Anas. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Garib. Some of them reported it from Hisham bin Urwa from his father in Mursal form from the Prophet without mentioning from Aisha in it. And Yazid bin Ruman reported this hadith from Urwa from Aisha. Great Sahih. Chapter 37. What has been related about eating snake cucumber with fresh dates? Narrated Abdullah bin Jafar. The Messenger of Allah would eat snake cucumber with fresh dates. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Sahih Garib. We do not know of it except as a narration of Ibrahim bin Sa'd, great Sahih." Chapter 38. What has been related about drinking camel urine? Narrated Anas. Some of people from Urayna arrived in Al-Madinah and they were uncomfortable with the climate. So the Messenger of Allah sent them some camels from charity. He told them, "Drink from their milk and urine." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Sahih Garib as a narration of Thabit. This hadith has been reported through other routes from Anas. Abu Kilaba reported it from Anas, and Sa'id bin Abu Aruba reported it from Qatada from Anas. Great Sahih. Chapter 39. What has been related about wudu before meals and afterwards? Narrated Salman. I read in the Tawrah that the blessing for food is in the wudu after it. So I mentioned that to the Prophet, telling him what I read in the Tawrah. So the Messenger of Allah said, "The food's blessing is in the wudu before it and the wudu after it." He said, there are narrations on this topic from Anas and Abu Huraira. Abu Isa said, "We do not know of this hadith except as a narration of Qais bin Arabi. Qais bin Arabi was graded weak in hadith. Abu Hashim ar-Rumanis, a narrator in the chain, name is Yahya bin Dinar, grade Da'if. Chapter 40. Chapter 40. About not performing wudu before eating. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Messenger of Allah came out from the toilet and some food was brought to him. They said, "Shall we bring you some water for wudu?" He said, "I have only been ordered to perform wudu when standing for salat." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hassan Sahih. Amr bin Dinar has reported it from Sa'id bin al-Huwairit from Ibn Abbas. Ali bin al-Madini said, Sufyan at-Thawri disliked washing the hands before eating food, and he disliked placing the bread under the bowl. Great Sahih. Chapter 41. What has been related about the tasmiyah for eating? Narrated Ikrash bin Duaib. Banu Mura bin Ubaid sent me to bring the sadaqah from their wealth of the Messenger of Allah. I arrived with him in Al-Madinah and found him sitting between the Muhajirin and the Ansar. He said, then he took my hand and brought me to the home of Salama, and he said, do you have any food? So a bowl containing a lot of farid with pieces of meat was brought to us and presented for us to eat from it. So I began wandering around it while the Messenger of Allah ate from what was in front of him. He grabbed my right hand with his left hand. Then he said, O Ikrash, eat from one spot, for indeed the food is one. Then a plate containing various dried dates or fresh dates. Ubaydullah A narrator was not sure, he said, and began eating what was in front of me, while the hand of the messenger of Allah roamed about the plate. He said, "O Ikrash, eat from wherever you like, for indeed it is not all from the same variety." Then water was brought, so the messenger of Allah washed his hands, and with the wetness of his hands he wiped his face, his forearms and his head, and he said, "O Ikrash, this is the wudu for that which has been altered by fire." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Gharib. We do not know of it except through the narration of Al-Ala bin Al-Fadl, and Al-Ala was alone with this narration, and there is more in the story in the hadith. And we do not know a hadith from the Prophet by Ikrash except this." Grade Daif. Chapter 42. What has been related about eating gourd. Narrated Abu Talib. I entered upon Anas bin Malik while he was eating gourd, and he was saying, "O you tree, I do not like you, but because of the messenger of Allah liked you." He said, "There is something on this topic from Hakim bin Jarir, from his father." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Gharib from this route." Grade Daif. Narrated Anas bin Malik. I saw the messenger of Allah taking from the sides around the dish, meaning the gourd. Since then, I still like it. Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Sahih. This hadith has been reported through more than one route from Anas bin Malik. Great Sahih." Chapter 43. What has been related about eating olive oil. Narrated Umar bin Al-Khattab, that the messenger of Allah said, "Eat olive and use its oil, for indeed it is a blessed tree." Abu Isa said, "We do not know of this hadith except through the narration of Abdur Razak from Mamar, narrators in the chain of this hadith. Abdur Razak would narrate this with idtirab. Sometimes he mentioned in it from Umar, from the Prophet, and sometimes he reported it indicating doubt, saying, "I think it is from Umar, from the Prophet," and sometimes he said, from Zayd bin Aslam, from his father, from the Prophet in a mursal form. Great Sahih. Great Sahih. Another chain from Zayd bin Aslam, from his father, from the Prophet, with similar, and he did not mention from Umar in it. Narrated Abu Asid, the Prophet said, "Eat of its oil and use it the olives, for indeed it is from a blessed tree." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Gharib from this route. We only know of it from the narration of Sufyan at-Thawri from Abdullah bin Isa." Great Sahih. Chapter 44. What has been related about eating with slaves and dependents. Narrated Ismail bin Abi Khalid from his father that Abu Huraira informed them that the Prophet said, "When the servant of one of you has endured heat and smoke, preparing his food for him, then let him take him by the hand and make him sit him down with him. If he refuses, then let him take a morsel and feed him with it. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Abu Khalid is the father of Ismail. His name is Saad. Great Sahih. Chapter 45. What has been related about the virtues of feeding others. Narrated Abu Huraira that the Prophet said, spread the greetings of salam, feed others, strike the heads of the enemy disbelievers. You will inherit paradise. He said, there are narrations on this topic from Abdullah bin Amr ibn Umar Anas, Abdus Salam, Abdur Rahman bin Ais, and Shurai bin Hani from his father. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih Gharib as a narration of Ibn Ziyad from Abu Huraira. Great Da'if. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr that the Messenger of Allah said, all of you worship Ar-Rahman, feed others, spread the greeting of salam. Then you will enter paradise in security. He said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih, great Sahih. Chapter 46. What has been related about the virtue of Al-Asha. Narrated Anas bin Malik. Narrated Anas bin Malik that the Messenger of Allah said, take the Asha meal, even if it is just with a handful of something to fill, for indeed avoiding the Asha is from senility. Abu Isa said, this hadith is munkar, we do not know of it except from this route. An-Basa was graded weak is hadith. Abdul Malik bin Alak is unknown, grade Da'if. Chapter 47. What has been related about the tasmiyah over food. Narrated Umar bin Abi Salama that he entered upon the Messenger of Allah while he has some food. He said, sit down, O my son, mention Allah's name and eat with your right hand, and eat what is nearest to you. Abu Isa said, it has been reported from Hisham bin Urwa from Abu Wajsa as-Sa'idi from a man from Musaina from Umar bin Abu Salama. The companions of Hisham bin Urwa differed in reporting this hadith. Abu Wajsa as-Sadi's name is Yazid bin Ubaid. Great Sahih. Narrated Kulthum from Aisha that the Messenger of Allah said, when one of you eats food, then let him say Bismillah. If he forgets in the beginning, then let him say Bismillah fi awalihi wa akhiri, in the name of Allah, in its beginning and its end. Great Sahih. Great Sahih. It is narrated with this chain of narration from Aisha, who said, the Prophet was eating food with 6 of his companions. A Bedouin came and ate it in 2 mouthfuls. So the Messenger of Allah said, as for him, had he mentioned Allah's name, it would have been enough for all of you. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. Kulthum is the daughter of Muhammad bin Abi Bakr as-Siddiq. May Allah be pleased with them. Great Sahih. Chapter 48. What has been related about it being disliked to spend while one has a smell on his hand. Narrated Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah said, "Indeed, Shaitan has a sense of taste for which he licks, so beware of him. So whoever spends the night with a smell on his hand and something happens to him, then let him not blame anyone but himself." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is gharib from this route." It has also been reported in a narration of Suhail bin Abi Salih from his father, from Abu Huraira, from the Prophet, great Mavdu. Narrated Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever spends the night with a smell on his hand and something happens to him, then let him not blame anyone but himself." Abu Isa said, "This hadith is Hasan Gharib. We do not know of it as a narration of Al-Amas except through this route. Great Sahih."